Hello everyone, I'm Amandeep Singh and today I'll talk about our paper on machine learning of instrument variables for causal inference. It's a joint work with Karthik Hosanagar and Amit Gandhi, both from the Wharton School. So in this paper, we basically discuss how you can use machine learning techniques to construct IVs from exogenous data for carrying out causal inference. So in this talk, I'll basically start off by introducing and motivating the problem that we have at our hand. Then I'll briefly discuss the literature review or the work other people have done in this area. Then I'll describe the model and algorithm that we propose. Then I'll just briefly discuss the theoretical properties that we prove in our paper. And in the end, if I have time, I'll cover either a simulation to compare our approach with other existing methods, or I'll discuss an empirical application with real world data. So let me just start off with an example. So let's say you want to estimate the price elasticity of smartphones. So this is a problem marketeers always solve all the time. And essentially you want to estimate this following linear regression and you want to estimate beta 1. So if you have access to A/B testing data, like the simple solution would be you just do a simple OLS. However, most of the time economists don't have access to A/B test data. They only have access to observational data, and performing an OLS estimator would not give you causal estimates of price changes on demand. And this could be due to a variety of factors. One factor could be estimated variable bias. This could occur because there could be a lot of confounded factors in the data that we as a researcher do not observe, and they could be correlated with your price, and they could bias our estimates. Another issue could be simultaneity bias. So one issue with demand systems is that the price and demand are determined simultaneously. So what happens is retailer most of the times would adjust their prices in accordance with the demand shocks they observe. So this leads to a simultaneous determination of demand and prices, and that leads to an endogeneity issue and could bias the estimates if you just use a naive OLS estimator. Another issue could be sample selection issues, and this could really be that it depends on how you sample your data for your analysis. If there is any systematic bias in the way you sample your data, it could actually bias your OLS estimates. So one solution to address all these issues is the instrument variable estimator. And the idea of instrument variables is that if you have access to some data that is correlated with your endogenous variable or your treatment variable and is exogenous to your unobserved error, then you can actually use that to get causal estimates and debias your OLS estimator. So let's get back to our example, smartphone example. So in that example, I can arguably use sales tax imposed on smartphones across different states as an instrument. So the idea of using sales tax is that sales tax should affect the demand of smartphones only through prices and should not be correlated with the confounded factors and the error epsilon. However, the immediate question comes up is that if sales tax is an instrument, then why not use sales tax square, sales tax cube, or any other transformation of sales tax? And the next question is like, okay, we can use any transformation, but does it really matter? Does it affect the causal estimate? If I use different transformations, will it have any consequential effect on my causal estimates? And the literature has shown that if your instrument variables are not correlated or not highly correlated with your endogenous variables, it is as worse as using an OLS estimate. So this basically comes like is our problem that can we learn that optimal transformation at start of sales tax for carrying out causal inference on beta so that we can get the least bias on our causal estimates. So the contribution of the paper basically is that we formulate the problem of constructing this optimal transformation, and we formulate this problem as a machine learning problem. We develop an algorithm called we term MLIV algorithm, which allows for learning that transformation and carrying out causal inference at the same time. In our paper, we provide theoretical properties of our estimator and show that it's both asymptotically consistent and normal and efficient. Okay, so let me briefly discuss the literature that exists in this area. Most of the literature that exists in this area is relevant only to linear models, and basically they have looked at this problem with respect as modeling it as a high dimensional instrument variable problem. So, and the literature in this area goes back to as early as 1960s, specifically in macroeconomics, where they had, by the nature of the problem they were studying, they had access to a huge number of instruments available. So the solution they proposed back in the day was that let's use some dimension reduction techniques to kind of like PCA or factor analysis to reduce the huge set of instruments into a lower dimension, and they hope that that might actually serve as a better instrument for debiasing your estimates. More recent work in this area has been done by Baloni, and in which they basically propose that if you have a huge set of instruments available, and out of them, a few of them are strong and can be used to carry out causal inference, you can use a lasso in the first step regression, and they show theoretical properties that under these set of assumptions, you can actually get a efficient estimate of your causal effects. However, the issue with such approach is that it assumes a strong sparsity on your optimal instrument structure, and the relevance of that will actually vary from application to application. And it's not even possible to test if that assumption is valid. And the next set of literature, our work is connected to nonlinear models or general empirical IO models. So the previous approaches only dealt with linear models. There hasn't been any work in this area which discusses how you can use machine learning to address this peak IV issue. So most of the empirical IO models by construction or usually have a large number of weak instrument available. For example, to give you an example, literature on demand system models assumes that you can actually use the entire market structure as an instrument to control for endogeneity in prices. The way the demand system literature or the other empirical IO literature addresses the high dimensional instrument variable issue is by proposing transformation that could better serve or better approximate the optimal IV. For example, BLP in their paper proposed that instead of using the entire market structure, you can just use the sum of other agent characteristics as an instrument. So they propose a transformation that could better approximate that optimal structure we want to estimate. However, as you can tell, there is no general way or no data-driven way to construct or learn that broad transformation. So it depends from application to application. And our work broadly is connected to how the machine learning and econometrics literature on how you can use machine learning to perform better causal inference. So let me get into our model and algorithm. So to model our estimator, we model our estimator in a generalized method of movements framework. So a GMM framework is characterized by a set of movement conditions, which are basically the economic assumptions that we assume hold true. And the GMM estimator ensures that if those assumptions hold true, then the GMM estimator will be consistent and normal, and you will get a causal effect. You will get a causal estimator. Particularly, an IV estimator is given by a following form. So basically, you have some error into a set of instruments, and most IV estimators assume strong exogeneity, which basically means that the projection of your error on your instruments is basically zero. One interesting property that comes up with strong exogeneity is that if a set of instruments Z can serve as an instrument, then any transformation of Z is also an instrument. Because if Z satisfies strong exogeneity, then movement conditions are basically satisfied for all transformations of Z. And which is what I actually talked about earlier, that if sales tax is an instrument, then any transformation of sales tax is also an instrument. So the learning criteria that we propose for MLIVs is basically that assume that H is some ML method characterized by some parameters eta. And we propose to solve the following bilevel optimization problem, where your loss function is basically the variance of your model parameters theta, subject to the GMM objective function criteria, that your model parameters are the argument of your GMM objective function criteria. You can think of this optimization problem as following, that you're trying to minimize the variance constrained to a zero bias constraint. And the good thing is you can actually iteratively solve this bilevel optimization problem using methods like gradient descent. So what you basically do is that in each step, you can update your instrument transformation parameters eta with step size new, and where the derivative Jacobian is given by, or the derivative of loss function is given as follows. And you can iterate until some stopping criteria is reached. And if you want to use multiple machine learning algorithms, you can actually choose from any. For example, if you want to use lasso, you can actually penalize your loss function with an L1 norm, and where your H function would be given by a linear function of eta. You can use a neural network directly, where your H function will basically be a neural network, and where your eta parameters would be the weights of the neural network. However, the issue with this approach is that if your eta is high dimensional, you essentially cannot learn edge and perform causal inference at the same time because your movement condition might get invalidated and you might not be even consistent. One way to handle this issue is that you can actually do sample splitting. And the way we do sample splitting is that, let's say this is your entire data set, and you will divide the data set into k blocks. Uh, and for each block dk, you will use the rest of the data to learn the transformation hk using the gradient descent method. And then you will apply this transformation hk for that kth block. And then you will do it for each block k. So essentially what you'll have in the end is that for each block, you will have a different transformation of the learned instrument. And if you do such a procedure, we can actually guarantee that your estimates will be both asymptotically consistent and normal. And we can also guarantee efficiency if your instruments are learned using a mean square consistent estimation procedure. And the good thing is that a lot of machine learning algorithms are mean square consistent. So for example, all statistical toolboxes like random forest, lasso, SVM, they have mean square consistency results already shown for them. So you don't have to worry, and we can guarantee efficiency just based on them. Okay. So let me consider one simulation design. So in this simulation design, I'll basically compare our approach with Belloni's approach of lasso. So the idea of Belloni's approach was that if you have a lot of instruments available, a few of them have to be strong, because only then lasso will actually pick those instruments up. However, if let's say you have a condition where all your instruments are weak, that Belloni approach will break down, because lasso will either pick up all the instruments or it will not pick up anything. So we will use this approach to contrast to see how our method does. So this is the data generating process. Let's say your outcome variable is y, your x is your endogenous variable, and theta 1 is something that you want to estimate. Z is your set of instruments, and we assume that you have 500 instruments, which is around the sample size. The edge function we assume is just the sum of all those instruments. Now, if you do something like lasso here, lasso will basically pick up all the instruments because all those instruments are equally weak. The endogeneity in our simulation comes through the correlation between E and mu, which we model using a bivariate novel. So the results for Belloni lasso are exactly the same as standard instruments. So I'll just report the standard instrument results. So standard instruments are basically if you use the instruments directly. And if you can see, so in the first column, I report what are the true values that we use for our simulation. And next, I report the bias. So for example, if you look at this row, you see a huge bias in your estimated parameter. However, if you basically use MLIVs, your bias reduces by magnitudes of order. It's like around 50 times. It reduces by magnitudes of order, and I just use a simple Kuber regression algorithm to do that. Okay. So now let us consider a real world application of how this method would do in actual applied data. So for this work, so for this thing, I'll consider the example of the colonial origins of comparative development. It was a paper published in AER in 2001 by Asimoglu and co-authors. So in this paper, they basically study that how does the economic development of countries depend on the property rights or the institutional structure in those countries. The issue with studying this problem is that economic development in countries could actually lead to better institutional structures. And that is why you can't, that is why it leads to a significant endogeneity and you can't really estimate the regression. So you need some instrument to control for that. One instrument that they propose in their paper is using the mortality rates of early European settlers. And what they argue in their paper is that if early European settlers found that country very suitable for their living, they would have come up with better institutional structures in that country. So basically, the mortality rate of early European settlers would affect the institutional structure currently present in that country. However, it should not affect the current economic status of that country. So they use this as an instrument. This paper has come under a lot of criticism because of the weakness of the IVs they used. So Theoretically, or in applied work, people usually follow the rule that if they measure an f-stat value for your regressions, and the general rule of thumb is that if your f-stat value falls below 10, then your instruments that you use in your regression are weak. And for many of the specifications that they studied in their paper, the f-stat value was actually below 10. So what we will do is we basically use their code, and we basically replicated the results using their instruments and using our ML instruments. And the ML instruments that we generated were using random forest. So the other good thing about our method is that it gives you a way to choose between different methods also without affecting the theoretical properties. So you can basically choose between any ML method. If you're doing it in a cross-learning way, it will not affect the theoretical properties of the estimator. And now what I want you guys to look at is that if you look at the AJR papers estimates, they vary a lot from specification to specification. However, if you look at the results using the MLIV's instruments, they are pretty much stable across all specifications. The other thing I want you to look at is that we actually are able to get the f-stat value above 10 across specifications. So for a lot of cases when their f-stat value was below 10 and their instruments were weak, we actually are able to get it above that threshold level and able to get stronger instruments than they had. So this is how this is just an illustration of how our instrument looks like. It's basically telling you that what it basically is able to capture the non-linearity between the true optimal instrument that we should have used and what we didn't use. Okay, so I'll just conclude. So we are officially releasing an R version of our code because, to be honest, I feel that there is no reason one should ever use raw exogenous data as an instrument, because with MLIVs they're guaranteed to give you lesser bias than just using raw exogenous data. And the other good thing about MLIVs is that since we don't make any theoretical assumption regarding econometric model or even the optimal IV structure, you can use it for any application. So it's more of a data-driven way, and it doesn't depend on any theoretical assumption. Thank you.